You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code. There's a super new way to support your friends over at The Experience. Head over to YouTube and send us a super chat, a super sticker, or a super thanks. We'll be super grateful for your support. And then keep an eye out as we launch membership services over on YouTube. It'll be a great way to get first look access at new content and shows before anybody else. Keep your eyes peeled and make sure you're following us on YouTube.
Thanks for joining me. I'll be reading selections tonight from Green Hornet Year 1. These are just here in case Nick peeks in, thinks we're selling comics. We're going to start with Chapter 2 from Matt Wagner. I don't have the heart to do it to them, man.
I liked your Alfred Hitchcock opening, man. Good evening.
I know, right? Good evening. Comic Collectables with Just John. Quite frankly, budget cuts had to be made and Rex had to be let go. I got tired of seeing Batman up here all the time. Batman tonight. We did, however, keep Robbie, so there's at least some quality to the show.
Yeah, some continuity.
I was sitting at the con, so this thing actually gets on at that time. How are we doing, Robbie?
I'm great. I had a pretty solid weekend. Had some fun shows, watched some cool movies, had some great discussions, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you.
Nice. That makes one of us. Did you get a chance to check out Black Phone yet?
Yes, I did watch Black Phone, and we covered it. I'm a co-host of a horror show on Saturdays, Dylan's Horror Show. Everybody should check out that channel if you like horror films. But every Saturday I'm there, we talk about movies. So a couple weeks ago, we did Black Phone, and I was actually very disappointed in the movie.
Really?
I had heard a lot of people that really, really liked it, but I think I made a mistake. And the day that we were going to go watch it, I read the Joe Hill short story. So the entire movie, I'm just like, all the stuff they added is the most cliche, boring, dull, regular, average stuff. So I was a little bit more critical than somebody just going in without having read it. And I probably shouldn't have done that because anytime I've read the book or the story beforehand, there's always some kind of comparison, right? You can't replicate the way you build something in your head when you're reading it.
I agree 100%. I did the reverse. I saw the movie. Dug into Amazon. As soon as I see at the end, from a Joe Hill short story, I grab it, bing, bing, I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, man. But I could see where when you do it the other way, this is sort of like, the book is Black Phone, and, the movie is when your mom tells you we have Black Phone at home. You know what I mean? There's like a significant gear shift there. I mean, that being said, I'll tell people, go see the movie, man. Make up your own mind. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just, I don't necessarily think the movie and the story, novella, whatever you want to call it, I don't think those match up quite right. But,
well, it's a very short story. It's like, 8 pages, 10 pages at most, something like that. So it's incredibly short, and it's just everything they put in, like it was the abusive dad. It was the just the way they handled some stuff to kind of, pace it out. That being said, Ethan Hawke was brilliant as the grabber, just maybe not enough of him in the film.
Ethan Hawke has the guy has sort of reached his peak, like his final form of acting. He was excellent in Moon Knight. Even if Moon Knight wasn't your thing, he was really good in Moon Knight. He was really good in this movie. He had some success earlier in his career. And then by his own admission, he did an interview. He kind of had some personal problems. He stepped away for a while, maybe did some projects that he shouldn't have done. But, now the guy is, the guy has been back with a vengeance. And like I said, I would absolutely go see this thing.
Yeah.
You'll probably see what Robbie and I are talking about. Where if you read the short story, I'll say this: if you haven't read the short story or seen the movie, see the movie first. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Because I think if you read the short story first, you might have the Robbie reaction of, "Oh, okay."
But most of the other people that were on that show with me did enjoy it. And it seems like most people are enjoying it, and that's really cool. Ethan Hawke is great, like you were saying. He actually stars in my favorite cinematic version of Hamlet, which is like an early 2000s modernization of Hamlet. That is absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, really good movie. Liev Schreiber, Bill Murray, Julia Stiles, Kyle MacLachlan plays the uncle. It's a really fantastic film.
Real quick, I want to just thank everybody for being here today. With just one set of eyes in here, I'm probably not going to see everybody. I see Dave. Dave, I'll let you know I was this close last night. Buddy called me. He texted me photos from like our 2019 Comic-Con trip. And he's out in San Diego, and he's like, get a flight and come out here. So last night, and I didn't want to leave Nick sort of hanging to do the show, but last night at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm looking at flights. And at this point, the cost is less important to me than being able to get a flight. And I could not find a direct flight from Philadelphia to San Diego. And there's just too many horror stories about connecting flights. You know, I didn't want to get left over in Houston. I didn't want to get left over in Chicago. And I didn't want to get left over in Denver.
And they're canceling flights left and right, right?
Yeah,
because they're having a shortage,
right?
Yeah, there was all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff you can get into with that because they were like given a lot of money by the government post-pandemic, but they they told a lot of people just to go ahead and early retire, and now they're like they don't have the staff trained up or something. So
they don't have pilots, they don't have flight attendants, they're having trouble finding people handing bags. I'll be the first to admit, no little kid grows up and says, someday I'm going to be a baggage handler at the airport. But that being said, man, from what I'm told, the pay at that job is pretty good, relatively speaking, and they're paying more. So I'll tell you right now, if you're looking to get a job in the airline industry, you know, they're having to pony up because they're canceling thousands of flights, and I think the government's giving them the stink eye a little bit with, wait a minute, what did you do with all the money we gave you? And, you know, I think it's a story like it always is. They bought back stock. They paid off debt. They sent people home. You know, executives got these huge bonuses. And now I've got friends that are sitting in airports texting me that I haven't heard from in some cases for years. And it's because, well, you know, I'm flying from Vancouver to Miami, and my layover in, you know, in Denver or whatever, plane just didn't show up. They canceled the flight. So now I'm sitting here trying to get from Denver to Miami. I don't have the patience and sort of mellow behavior you need to deal with that. So I sort of, at the last minute, I was super tempted by two things. First of all, my buddy sent me these pictures. The other thing is he made reservations at my favorite place in San Diego. It's Lou and Mickey's. And this is one of my favorite places on the whole planet to eat. So I'm thinking, you know, he got a suite at the marina. They have a Roy Yamaguchi's down in the lobby, and I'm just like, man, I should go even if I can't get tickets. I should go just to go to San Diego. But then I see the temperature is really high, and I was like, you know.
Yeah, probably pretty warm in San Diego right now. Plus, you would have you wouldn't have been stiffing Nick. You would have been stiffing me and Kyle. And don't you want to be here to sell some comics? Come on.
So it would have been the barbecue and horror movie show, which actually might have worked out.
You know, we might have got more viewers talking about barbecue and horror.
I was gonna say we might have got more viewers than that. A rack of ribs, like a classic horror movie. That's a gimmick. There's money in that.
So I just want to chime in. I have 9 flights booked between now and the end of the year already. And I'm terrified of all of them being canceled. But the one thing I did is I went and got the TSA pre-screen because I'm convinced that if Little Shop of Horrors were remade today, instead of being a dentist, Isaac Yankem would have been a TSA agent.
I'd like to hear that song, that musical number. I'll tell you that.
Right?
I got to tell you, the airport, the flight is... You know, and I mean, I understand people decide to go or not go for a variety of reasons, right? People have kids, wives, both, whatever, and I totally get it, right? I understand that. but the whole sort of and I understand that any time in life your flight could be canceled, weather, whatever. I've had flight cancels when I went on the cons over the years, right? But it seems like the odds are like 50-50 now. And, I've said this before. I'm real spoiled. I fly first class. San Diego isn't cheap. And to spend that kind of money and hope they get me there,
JD says tip 1 nonstop flights, tip 2 Spirit. Now hear me out. And I think he means you have to fly the Spirit as created by Will Eisner. Because this is a comic book show and not a travel show.
Rex has been put in the backbone basement.
You would be confused if you were just tuning in.
Right. I will say one last thing, though, and John will probably attest to this. I've started booking, if I have to take a layover, long layovers, so I can eat as many of the gourmet restaurants that are in airports now as possible. Like, I was in Baltimore a few weeks ago after AwesomeCon, and like I wound up having a 6-hour layover, so I got to eat 3 different places.
Yeah.
And every one of them was phenomenal. Because it's no longer just fancy mall food. Everything comes with a beer, and everything is tasty.
Airports have stepped up their game. When I first started flying to cons years ago, like you would almost not eat something at the Philadelphia or Newark airport because you didn't want to get sick on a long flight to, whatever con city you were going to. Now I'm seeing Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay, all these kind of known celebrities have places. And I'm not under the illusion that Gordon Ramsay's back there making my sandwich or whatever, but with their name on the business, I know there's a reasonable amount of health inspection, quality of ingredients. You know what I mean? It's safe enough to eat. I'll put it that way. If I see Wolfgang Puck Express, I know if I go in there and I get a chicken sandwich, I'll probably be okay.
Yeah, in the old days, I'd only fly to airports with Wetzel's Pretzels because I knew I'd need to eat, and that was always safe.
There's pretzels, or generally, like I would go to the kiosk and get like, a bag of chips or something, like once you get through the checkpoint, and I would wait. And then finally, like the first thing I do, I'd get my bag and I'd tell whoever I was meeting there, we got to go eat. I don't care what time it is. We got to go eat. Well, I'm guessing some of these people popped in here for comics.
Well, I think they all came for the travel log, man.
I hope they all came for the travel log. Again, if I missed some names, thanks everybody for checking in tonight. All jokes aside, Rex is on vacation this week. I hope he's having a great time. I hope he enjoyed the beers I gave him last week. He will be back, I'm guessing, next Monday. And I will not be here. Next week, the show will be much better because I will not be here. I'll be on vacation next week.
I'm sure we'll miss you. We'll miss you, John.
This is a time where people are like, "Oh, you and your wife are going on vacation?" And I'm like, "Yes." Where are you going? I'm like, "Well, slow down. We're not going anywhere together." That's a no. My wife is going to visit her family in Florida. I will be at my usual spot in Myrtle Beach, looking at the ocean. Not missing Florida at all.
Nice.
Let's see. What do we want to start with?
Let's start with the giveaway because, people have to enter.
We want to do the giveaway?
We should probably start with the giveaway.
Do you have an image in this, or do you need me to go up there and show it to you? Okay. Very cool Chaos sketch card on the back. It's signed by Ken Hazer. We'll be doing the giveaway thing. At some point, Robbie will hit his Ultimate Machine, Bing Bang Boom.
This is a different one. This is the hashtag Station EXP. All they got to do is drop that in the comments.
Thankfully, Kyle came up with something cool for this hashtag. It's a really sweet card. I have to tell you right now. I mentioned this before. When Dynamite snagged Chaos in their characters, I was very happy. I know some of maybe the younger viewers don't know a lot about Chaos, but I like everything Dynamite has done with Chaos so far. I have a little bit of kind of inside baseball as to what's coming. There'll be announcements. There's some pretty cool stuff on the horizon. Not to mention, who doesn't want a Ken Hazer signed sketch card?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's not to mention, seeing as how Rex isn't here, in theory, I guess I'm free to give away anything of Nick's in this office. Because if Nick didn't want me to do that, he wouldn't have put me here by myself.
I guess so, up to a point, right? Yeah, you can do that.
Just
Why are
remember,
people
the
sitting on
show
my
is
car?
video evidence and is admissible in court.
I know, right? And this got to be a big letdown for the viewers too, right? Because isn't Jen on before us?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking they're watching Jen and they hang around. And they're like, oh, not this guy. Well, at least it's Robbie. I'll hang out.
Oh, stop selling yourself short. We're awesome. But we
You
have
know
two
what?
types of claims on this show. We have best offers, and then we
Yep.
just have outright claims. All great deals, all stuff we're going to be getting to. Really fun, exciting stuff. There'll be a link that they'll throw up in the chat where you can do the QR code or go to the link and fill out your stuff if this is your first time. And it's some great stuff for today's show, John.
Yeah, no, we are. I mean, I'm kind of having a little bit of fun, but we got some pretty cool stuff. We have some really cool deals too. The first thing I'll knock out is the Dynamite Reader 10-pack. I love this thing. We've had a lot of fun with it, a lot of success with it. I've had a lot of people tell me on social media, hey, I grabbed this thing. I started reading these titles. You know, I'm really enjoying this stuff. This is a good way to sort of, you know, like maybe you're reading one thing from Dynamite, or, you know, like the person I talked to was a big Vampirella fan, had not read, was reading Dynamite because of Vampirella, did not kind of spread out into the other stuff. Grabbed the Reader's 10-pack, I guess a few months back, and, you know, became super obsessed with Battlestar Galactica, Sherlock Holmes and Harry Houdini. I was glad. I was real glad for that. So this is kind of a cool way. It's $5. I mean, I can't think of any, you know what I mean? I can't think of a better, you know, like a better buy to just kind of check something out, especially if you're going to buy something else for $5.
And, you know, a lot of people do these mystery boxes and they'll give you 10 random comics and they'll charge you like 30, 40, 50 bucks for them, right? $5. And they make a really good, like way to do like AOKs. Like if you want to get them and send them out to somebody, share the love of comics, put them in your local libraries, put them in the little lending libraries in your neighborhood, stuff like that. Leave them at the doctor's office. Next time you go to a dentist, leave a stack of comics there. And this is a good way to do that. We got to make more readers, right?
I've started doing that a little bit. I've started bringing stacks of Dynamite comics to local libraries. You know, I've collected these things for a long time, to the point where I have the single issues and then I have the trades. Now I buy them digitally as backups. I'm happy to give some of this stuff to, you know what I mean? We found a box of stuff that I think was targeted for a giveaway. Rex said, take it. We ran it over to a high school library and they absolutely loved it. They asked, you know, maybe we'll bring back some more sometime. Somebody was getting them for Christmas. I remember somebody was getting them for like Christmas gifts or whatever. They're really cool. We try not to duplicate the stuff. Eventually, we'll probably do some themes of these. I mean, I joke around a lot. At some point, maybe this year, we'll probably do a Green Hornet one, where we'll just grab 10 random Green Hornet comics from the different ages and eras and throw those in there too. The John Pack. You know what? Maybe the first thing we'll do, I'm taking a look at this and a bunch of stuff. Maybe the best offer. Get those out first.
Yeah, we definitely want to get those best offers. Give everybody plenty of time to get those offers in.
Yeah. Uncanny X-Men 521, signed by Greg Land. This thing is sweet. This thing is really, really sweet.
Meditation Magneto.
Yeah, I mean, people, a lot of times I'll use this. People will ask me, what's your favorite X-Men character? And I say Magneto, and people say I'm cheating, but I'm sorry. That's my favorite character from the X-Men. He's been an X-Men. He's led the X-Men. He's been the good guy, the bad guy, everything in the middle. To me, Magneto's the most interesting of those characters. I know Wolverine fans are like, shut the stream off now. I'm sorry, it's Magneto. We're going to start.
Magneto's a great character. Magneto's a fantastic character. His dichotomy with Charles Xavier is, to me, the key and core of that book. And really, the movies nailed it, like all the way through, whether it was Ian McKellen or even Michael Fassbender. I think Magneto is one of the most compelling X-Men characters in those Fox films as well.
That's a character where you've had two tremendous actors play him at different points of their lives, and they both did an amazing job. Also, one of my all-time favorite movie lines ever from anything, not just superhero comics, is when Magneto and Professor X are talking in the first movie. and Professor X looks at him and says, you know, we have to be the better men. And Magneto looks at Professor X and says, I am the better man. That's one of the coolest sort of exchanges I'd seen in a movie in a really long time. We're going to start this at $19.63 for, you know, the year the X-Men first debuted.
And to make it easy on the B team tonight, which is me, because Jay's normally here on Mondays and I'm a little out of practice, bids need to be made in whole dollars. Do not bid 7 cents or I'll come for you.
Oh, yeah. Please don't, you know what I mean? I don't care if you want to outbid someone by $1, but I don't want to get into fractions, decimals, cosine, pennies. No, just, you know, if somebody's got a bid of $20, next bid up is 21. When Rex and everybody's here come back, if you guys want to use the decimal system or whatever, that's fine.
This is a cool cover, though. It's really cool seeing Magneto meditating like that. He's a very complex character, very layered, like Dwayne Zapane said. If you're a Magneto fan, this is top notch. Or if you have a Magneto fan in your life, you might want to snag this up for them.
Well, that's the thing, too. We're starting to creep, and I realize, you know, Europe is on fire. It's 110 degrees at Comic-Con. It was in the 90s here. But Christmas is not that far off, right? If you have that Magneto fan, this is going to be for all the books we have tonight. If you're not buying them for yourself, you're buying them for someone else, don't hit us up December 15th for a book you need by Christmas time. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of steps that go in the process between you buy this on the show and it gets to your front door from, you know, UPS, FedEx, the post office, whoever. So if you've got that person in your life and you're like, wow, they're really an X-Men fan. Wow, they're really whatever. You know, buy it sooner rather than later. Plus, we've talked about this before. Book prices generally go in one direction and it's not down. You know what I mean? We've got stuff where there's projects being announced, this, that, whatever. You know, we probably want to, you know, get the best price you can on a book. We have other best offers, don't we? I'm almost positive we do one here.
Yeah, we got a really good one for fans of Bob Burgers. Bob's
I was
Burgers.
going to say, we have the creator, Lauren Bouchard. We have one. It's starting at $20. Signed, unique, kind of a unique variant. Just, I got to tell you, I am not the biggest fan of Bob's Burger. I like it, but, you know, it's not like I have a room full of stuff. I would absolutely want to scoop this up. This thing is really neat.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover. I love the decaying fat unicorn there. I've never seen an episode of Bob's Burgers, but having the creator sign this is really gnarly cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I always appreciate all the signed stuff, but when you get that signature that's like no degree of separation from the property, that's pretty neat. One of my favorite things I have is a Babylon 5 book that Joe Straczynski signed at a con a few years ago. And I got to tell you, that's really cool. You know what I mean? I look at it, I understand maybe not everyone's a Babylon 5 fan, but when people argue about what he meant, it's pretty neat at a con to say to him, hey, look, this is being debated in a chat room. What did you mean by this? I love when we kind of get that one-on-one contact or interaction with the creator of a property. You know, this is sort of the same thing with signing the book.
And we got Dwayne Zapane in for $20 on the Bob's Burgers.
Cool. This thing is really neat, man. I could see maybe Bob Burgers is like one of those niche things. I could see people nipping and tucking a little bit at the end.
So I'm a huge Bob's Burgers fan, so I have to jump in. It's going to be one of those nights I can imagine already. For where I'm just kind of here. But I love Bob's Burgers, if for no other reason than it's maybe the most relatable cartoon on television, especially if you're a little schlubby, which I am.
You're not kidding.
So if you've never watched it, it's available. You can watch all of it on Hulu. But on HBO Max, the Bob's Burgers movie, which was literally just in theaters like 3 weeks ago, is available now for stream on HBO Max. And it's a great one-shot like story. You know, like when comic publishers put out a 100-page one-shot that you don't need any other context for other than that, this is it. It helps to know the rest of this, who everybody is ahead of time, but like it's not necessarily important.
So it's not like the Simpsons movie.
Right, it's not like the Simpsons movie where it would make no sense if you haven't watched all episodes of The Simpsons. This is, you understand a struggling family business and a murder mystery and an adventure, and really anything Kevin Kline plays being a little fancy.
Now, does Gordon Ramsay show up and then like just talk a bunch of smack about their food and then go in there, walk in and criticize it? Does that happen? Because those are my favorite kind of things.
No, but
I'm waiting for Bob's Burgers Kitchen Nightmares. I'm waiting for that. That's gonna be awesome.
I will say this: there are some great cameos in this movie by voice actors who are essentially playing carny people who are just the other side of maybe should be in jail. It's pretty great.
Okay. We've met people like that. We all know people like that, right?
Aren't we all people like that?
We are people like that.
But no, it's a great show, and it helps if you remember they were supposed to be cannibals.
Nice.
What, the people in Bob's Burgers?
Yeah, originally it was a family who were cannibals who were serving burgers made of human meat.
I probably would have watched that show from day on. I would have
Fox shut it down, going, "That's a little too dark," and we're Fox, and you're gonna follow The Simpsons, so
that's hilarious.
Nice. You know what? We'll throw one more book out here before we go to break, our first break. I like this book a lot. I like the character that's featured in this book a lot. It's Strange. This is a best offer book, starting at $10. Like, every once in a while we like to have that perfect 10 read. Strange Adventures. Tom King does a great job in this book. It's Adam Strange. People know if you've watched the show, I'm a sucker for jetpacks, ray guns. This is a very cool take on a character that, even predates the superhero era or the Silver Age. This is a character from like the 1950s. You know what I mean? That's still 60 years later, is finding, creative energy. I love this book.
It is definitely an interesting take on the Adam Strange story, but my favorite thing about this book is the artwork. You got Mitch Gerrits and you got Doc Shaner. So you got Shaner doing like the story that's told a little bit further in the past, and then you got Mitch Gerrits doing the more modern story, right? And they literally do the art on the same page. They could not have two more separate styles, but it works. It works so well. It's tied together.
I'll warn you right now, it's a trippy book. It reminds me slightly of the Colonel Weird storytelling that Dark Horse does for the Hammer book. I can't think of it.
Yeah, Black Hammer. You're talking about the Jeff Lemire book.
Hammer,
yeah. Colonel Hammer, or Colonel
Weird. A little
Weird,
bit of that sort of kind of, unconventional energy. This thing starts at $10. It's signed by Tom King, silver signature. I would absolutely suggest, this seems to me the kind of thing that if they're serious about pushing DC animation in the future, I could see them trying this, like an avant-garde 2 animation style.
Oh, for sure.
I could see somebody giving this a try, because Doc Shaner, if you're old, Doc Shaner is kind of what you think of when you think of Adam Strange, and what
he's got that classic like pop art retro type style.
Classic Silver Agey science hero Stevie B.
We got Stevie B in, there you go.
We are going to be back in a couple minutes. I think we have to take our first break. Hang out with me, Robbie, thankfully. Kyle is in the center seat. We'll be back in a few minutes, everybody. Thank you much.
I wasn't ready. We'll go to break here in just a second, but I got to tell you guys, the people who make combos have made a new snack that's got me all kinds of messed up, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in a minute now that I'm ready to play a break.
Nice.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in a minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectables.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box?
What's in the box?
Comic culture and sales.
We are back. People were messaging me on Twitter wondering why this show was so much better. And, I didn't want to point any fingers, but,
It's because of these guys right here, man. Because of these guys. That guy up in the
vacation. Yeah, why don't you have Robbie on more and Rex on less? That's what I'm saying. I forget where Rex is going. I think Rex is going down to like the Alabama shore or something. I actually think he's, I don't want to say in your neck of the woods, but I think he's in your state. Actually.
Yeah, he mentioned that on our show Friday. So it's still going to be like, he's still like 7 hours away from me. But yeah, he's in the neck of the woods. I told him to try some of that Alabama barbecue sauce. So
we have a barbecue place in Philly where the guy actually went to a barbecue show like on the Alabama-Mississippi border so he could learn how to make white sauce. And
nice.
He's probably the only place in Philly that's even close to authentic. You know what I mean? Everybody else that has white sauce, I'm like, this is mayonnaise and horseradish. This is like horsey sauce from Arby's. This isn't barbecue sauce.
Yeah, not quite the same. It's a delicious sauce that I personally love eating with hush puppies. I dip my hush puppies in them. But nothing's better than some barbecue turkey, like a turkey potato. We have lots of good barbecue places down here, of course, that serve that white sauce, and get a stuffed barbecue turkey potato with some of that white sauce is absolutely amazing.
Nice. I see Ron floating around in here, so maybe
I see Ron in here. We should do one of those remarks then, or my bad, a commission.
Yeah,
cover.
we should absolutely do a CCA. We'll do Amazing Spider-Man 850, signed with a very cool Ken Hazer cover sketch. I don't know if Ron has like 9 of these.
Well, you can tell that this one's new because it's the new costume. And I love that like sky blue splash in the background. That looks sharp.
I think up on the site this thing is like $89.99, but here we're going to have it for $62.19. Little play on the year Spider-Man came out. Although it looks like, if I'm reading this right, Creative Keep has already pushed the button. Congratulations, Creative Keep. It's a very cool book.
Good pickup. I don't really like the new Miles Morales costume where he's like got a mask pulled up over his mask, but Ken made it look really cool there.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Ken sort of he finds a way to even make sketchy costumes look good. This thing is not, it's a sweet cover, but it's not. I kind of just like the traditional Miles Morales. But, Miles is everything now, right?
Why would you redesign probably the best Spidey costume, which I think is the Miles costume, the initial one, the black one with the red? I think that's one of the best Spidey costumes out there, period.
I go as far as to say of any major character's costume redesign, I think that's probably the best I've seen. Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, these people get new costumes all the time. The Miles Morales Spider-Man costume is probably the best one I've seen.
Yeah, that one's really good.
We'll throw out another one, too. I kind of like when we do them in groups like this. We'll do another CCA from Ken Hazer. Joker's 80th anniversary, #1, signed by Ken. The faces, we've commented about this before, trying to figure out exactly where we had to place the rack so that you could see the Joker's chin. This is another one that
Creative keeps already claiming it.
Oh, is it?
Might want to know the price first.
Yeah, sure. No, up on the site, this is I think $89.99. Tonight it's $40.19.
Nice.
For 1940 when the Joker first appeared. This is a great book. We talk a lot about the use of negative space. The green, I wouldn't quite call them Kirby dots.
Well, that's actually on the cover, I believe. Isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I think that's actually a part of the cover, but I could be mistaken. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from what if Ken did that. That's a really nice touch.
I don't know. I know it's a very cool cover. And Creative Keep basically just posted a comment how I've gone through my whole life. Yes, I want it, and I'll deal with the price later.
The Creative Keep's a man on a mission today.
I'll figure out how to pay for this later, but it's not going anywhere now. We'll do the last CCA too, just to sort of let everybody kind of see what's out there. This one is Secret Wars #1, Reed Richards cover sketch. Ken sort of has, Ken almost has a little bit of the Russell Johnson from Gilligan's Island energy in his version of Reed Richards. A lot of people have always talked about the professor from Gilligan's Island would probably be Reed Richards. I like a little bit of the energy that
wasn't that like part of the what Kirby was influenced by? Like I think that goes back, at least that's what I think the stories tell. And then there's even this like mock-up Fantastic Four, like there's this thing that goes around, it's fake news, but it's like this was a Fantastic Four movie that was canceled in mid-production, and it's a still, and but it's him as Reed Richards, which totally perfect. It definitely, he's got that vibe, because I don't think people realize today that Reed Richards in 1961, the way that they came at that character, he was a dashing leading man, charming kind of sex icon, almost in a way, is what they were going for. Kind of like the professor.
What they were going for. They really were. It was somehow it all got kind of shuffled around, and he became the absent-minded professor almost that, oh, that's right. Let me, last 5 panels, he creates a machine to deal with the first 18, 20 pages of the book. And you're like, after a while, you're like, dude, why didn't you do this right away? Like, why did you wait so long? Well, I was working on other experiments. Really?
Yeah. Reed Richards is my favorite superhero, probably, period. I just love the Fantastic Four. I love Reed Richards. I love the science. Like, he's got stretchy powers, but his actual purpose, his utility is his brain. It's his intellect, right? And the fact that he's a family man, and he's the leader of his family and a group of friends, and they have this hardcore connection. And rumors are that Kevin Feige at the newest Disney Expo.
I gotta jump in real quick about this. If Reed Richards was really the smartest man alive, would he not have said, Wanda, Captain Carter can cut your head off with one throw of her shield?
Oh, no.
And she would have said, what shield? And then Black Bolt would have screamed and killed her.
Oh, boy.
See, that would have been the smart move.
You see, Reed has his kid. I understand what you're saying, Nick. Reed's got kids. He's got a wife. And I think he's trying to go the empathetic route. with Wanda in that scene, but none of the Illuminati came across in that movie as being incredibly intelligent.
No, they didn't.
I think Professor X came off as pretty intelligent. He knew it was going to go south. So, he saw the writing on the wall like, oh, wow, you don't need to be a mind reader to know we played this badly.
By the way, did John sell anything or you guys?
Yeah, we sold some stuff. Yeah.
You can take off the, if you want to, you can take off the Spider-Man and the Joker. On.
Wow. Dun, dun, dun.
This one's $19.84 for 1984, the year that we first.
Well, that's the beginning of the best offer. The best offer item.
Oh, is it the best offer item?
I think so.
It is the best offer item. I'm sorry, everybody.
Starting at 1984.
Even better.
Oh, and there's even another best offer here. Wow.
Jeez,
Okay,
John, it would almost be like I didn't send you that stuff in advance.
This just came in right now. I think you emailed me just hours ago, but
I just got it. You just handed it to me.
You just handed it.
He was too busy shopping in the office to read it.
I was too busy. Kyle saw me before we came on. I was just looking through the office, and I'm like, you know what? Let me make sure I don't have any gaps in my collection. I got my list on my phone. Got it. You know what? We'll do another best offer too. So this way, everybody has plenty of time to bid, think about it, whatever. Punchline number 1. It's a slab. This thing is CGC graded 9.8. The best offer here is going to start at $40.19 for another play on 1940, the year the Joker debuted. This thing is normally probably about $90 or $100. I've had a couple people tell me they've seen it at cons for that price online, about that price. So, we'll see where this thing goes. It's going to start at $40.18. Very cool cover. We've talked before on this show about Punchline and how that character has a future.
Yes.
And, that character definitely has a future. So I've kind of recommended getting her stuff now rather than, when she appears in a cartoon or a movie or,
Yeah, she's going to show up in something very soon. She'll be in a cartoon, but she will definitely be on screen at some point. And this is I believe, if I remember right, there was a short story and some kind of special that teased some stuff. But I think this is the first time they revealed the full origin of Punchline.
Yeah, this is, I think, like her first full.
And we got Preston offering first on that one.
So this one, the best offer is going to be $40.19. Actually, you know what I think we'll do? That's all the best offer books. But I think we'll do, in honor of Rex, we'll do a little best offer Rex cap, I guess. Talk about, kind of remind everybody. And then we'll remind you guys again before the show is over, too.
And make sure you got that Preston put $40.19 on Punchline.
Yeah, Preston, it's on the board for this book for $40.19. Hopefully Amy is in some other room paying attention to this because I'm barely here. First best offer we did tonight was Uncanny X-Men 521, signed by Greg Land. We started at $19.63. Magneto on the cover. When Magneto's on the cover, I don't really know much more what you need to say, quite honestly. Kind of like he sells himself. If I remember correctly, this is signed. It's like 37 of 55 or something. Next best offer book we had started at $20, and somebody already jumped in on this. Bob's Burgers, New York Comic Con variant. This signed by Lauren Bouchard, creator. This is another book where I look at this and I think someone who is a Bob's Burger fan, this is what they've been waiting for. Like this is their moment. Yeah, Stevie B, you're right. I read that too, going back to the Punchline thing. Punchline is rumored to be joining a new incarnation of the Legion of Doom.
There are rumors that she's going to be in the new Harley Quinn animated series that debuts in 10 days.
That starts next week, right? I think that drops back next week.
28th.
Well, good time to jump on it right now then.
Yeah. Next best offer we had was Strange Adventures #1, signed by Tom King. We've talked about this before. The bidding for this started at $10. I don't know if somebody jumped in here for $10 or not.
Somebody did.
Somebody did jump in for $10.
Stevie B did.
This is a real trippy book. Full, I would like to say it's the start of something big for Adam Strange, but after like 60 years, Adam Strange has been up and down, here and there. Serious character. He appears in Krypton on Sci-Fi. I don't know if they're coming back for another season or not.
No, I think that's been done for a couple years, hasn't it?
It's done now, because I remember the last I read there was a break because of the pandemic, but I think I even remember somebody saying, the break might be, permanent. Let's see, what else did we do?
The Reed one.
Oh, Secret Wars #1. It was the Reed Richards, Ken Hazer CCA cover. Reed Richards works. We talked a little bit about Reed Richards. Power is really his super intelligence, not his stretching ability. We've talked about that. It works as a hero, works as a villain. If you've seen Ultimate Reed Richards, not a great dude. Super effective villain. So,
and this is Secret Wars #1, which is the whole culmination of Jonathan Hickman's Incursion storyline that he was building up in Avengers and New Avengers. And if I personally was wanting to make like a gambled bet on what the next big thing that Marvel was going for, because they seem hesitant to really commit right now, but with all the mentions of Incursions and Doctor Strange and seeing the Illuminati, that's a good thing to think that they may go to with the multiverse and Kang and the varying timelines. Like it would be very easy for them to go into that direction.
I mean, it really will. They've sort of have, they've got like a bunch of, it's like juggling. They got a bunch of balls in the air right now. They've talked about the Skrulls. They've talked about the multiverse. They're, it seems like everything you watch. I guess Thor's been out for 2 weeks now?
Yeah. One to 2 weeks, yeah, something like that.
We can talk a little bit about Thor. It looks like Thor has something going on. It looks like maybe there's going to be some sort of, I guess we'll call it maybe Revenge of the Gods, Wrath of the Gods type storyline coming from the end of that. I would think that Secret Wars would be their strongest go-to, because you can combine the Skrulls and their shape-shifting ability with the multiverse.
Well, I mean, that's a big epic story too, because I was like, how do you top Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet? I really think they could do it simply by building into Galactus, but things aren't in place yet for that, right? We haven't even really fully introduced the Fantastic Four. We've only seen an alternate version of Reed. So when they make that announcement of who the FF may be, John Krasinski may not even be Reed. Now, I think he will be.
That they actually have someone else they've tagged. And again, it's all rumors, but there's another actor, and I cannot remember his name now, that they've tagged to be Reed Richards in the MCU Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Have you heard the rumor that Homelander is being considered for Dracula in the Blade movie? I'm down with that. I'm like, he's got a look that makes me think Dracula when you really get into
Anthony
it.
Starr is a great actor, man. That guy was in something called Banshee a few years ago. And if you were watching Banshee a few years ago and I told you this guy was going to be Homelander and you knew the boys, you'd be like, that's not going to happen.
Huh.
This guy has an ability to sort of, absorb these characters and put them out there on the screen. Pretty much anything he would do, I'd be like, okay.
I would love to see his Dracula. He's got those like hypnotizing, piercing eyes, right? And with the way that he's handling, I'm still not on season 3. I'm at the end of season 2 of The Boys, and the way he handles
piercing eyes, and all I'm thinking about is laser eyes.
But the way he handles like this measured, control of this, there's almost this like uncontrollable outrage that's about to come out, but he's holding it back. It's something very cool about that show and his performance.
The very last scene of The Boys this season, and everybody's kind of seen the memes or whatever, just non-verbally, the facial expressions in that last scene of The Boys That's just like scary next level acting ability. You know, how he goes from to hey, everybody's down with this. This is cool. People who've seen the show kind of know what I mean a little bit. I would have no problems. You could tell me that guy was doing anything, and I'd be like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
He's going to be Ken in the new Barbie movie.
You know what, man? If the guy's getting paid, okay.
No, that's already what's his name, Ryan Gosling. So yeah, that Barbie movie. How many times you going to watch the Barbie movie, John? When it comes out, you going to watch it? Like, how many times you going to watch that Barbie movie when it releases? Like 7 or 8 that first week?
No, I got a feeling that's.
Bro, that could be a camp classic. You don't know.
Oh boy, there has to be something in a movie to attract me. Robots, dinosaurs, mutants, zombies, people with superpowers.
Margot Robbie?
You know, Barbie and Skipper's Playhouse, not so much, I'm afraid. But people who go and see it, I hope you guys enjoy it. Last book in the recap we'll do is Punchline, number 1. The CGA, we just did it, CGC 9.8 slab. You know, we have people talking about it a little bit in the chat. This is the time to get in on Punchline. You know, also, times are changing a little bit with CGC. It's probably an easier go to just claim this and, you know what I mean, bet on it, claim it. There's Robbie mentioned at the beginning. Kyle will shoot up a link, click it, read and follow the instructions. It's real basic. Rex gets it out to you as soon as he's got your information. It's probably the easiest way to get a slab and probably at the most reasonable price. This one is starting at $40.19 as well.
And we got Preston on the first offer for that one.
Yep, we got Preston on the first offer for that. You know what? Maybe we'll talk about a few other things we've got.
I'm starting a conspiracy theory on the Barbie movie.
Oh?
I'm going to put it on the internet and see how many people I can fool. That the Barbie movie is actually a Netflix Sandman tie-in that delves deep into the Barbie and Ken storyline from Sandman Volume 1.
Wow.
Well, that makes sense. You know, the dream car, the dream house, and yeah, that was a really great story in Sandman. So the Barbie
right. I know it's not, but see how many people on the internet I can fool.
We haven't seen
look at John in there correcting Marcus. Marcus is making a joke like, it's going to be awesome, part of the Hasbro Cinematic Universe. And John's like, it's Mattel. It's Mattel.
The only Mattel
it is true, though. That's Mattel. He-Man, too.
The only Mattel movie I'm interested in seeing is Hot Wheels, man.
I'd see a new Motu movie, but we'd have to really see. Hey, Kyle, what was the you were going to mention something about something from the makers of combos. You piqued my interest with that.
They have a new thing. Essentially what they've done is they've taken combos and filled them with chocolate and peanut butter and coated them in powdered sugar.
Doesn't it seem like they should have come up with that idea 20 years ago? That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
well, they also make, like, they have prepackaged, like, you can buy it at a gas station, like Puppy Chow, which is the chocolate, peanut butter, and the Chex Mix coated in powdered sugar.
The Chex Mix one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Muddy Buddies or whatever they call them.
They're doing those with pretzels now. And, yeah, it got me all kind of messed up because I look like, the end of Scarface.
Oh, yeah.
I'd put myself on camera, but it's ugly. Because it's, this is good. I'm just going to open the bag and hold it to my face until they're all gone.
Look at Marcus's response to John correcting him on the Mattel bit. He's like, you put me in reverse Uno. Oh, no, reverse.
I think a whole world in the chat were missing trying to sell these comic books.
Sweet combos sound amazing, though. That sounds like an idea it's crazy that they haven't done that yet.
They had a guy at the gas station by my office, like, handing them out, and I'm like, I will take all of them. Thank you.
Yeah.
This almost sounds like a Nutella thing, right? Like Nutella combos or something.
This is just.
Feels like you did this before.
This is just generic chocolate and peanut butter, and I'm like, they also have a cookies and cream one that I haven't opened yet because I don't want my foot to fall off. But
yet doesn't want his foot to fall off.
Right. I can
that
hear
being
it.
said, I just picked up these apple fritter Pop-Tarts. These are delicious. These are delicious, y'all. I'm just warning. Those are delicious.
Let me tell you what to do with these Pop-Tarts.
What? Throw them away and get an actual apple fritter?
No. I've got a hack for Pop-Tarts that I've used for years at different catering events that people love.
Okay.
Back in the old days, ice cream used to come in a square carton, right? You have to change the shape now, but you get yourself a bread knife and you cut that square carton into inch-thick slabs. You put the slabs between 2 hot Pop-Tarts, and you get a much better ice cream sandwich than just the plain old chocolate cookie thing.
That sounds delicious. Apple fritter, it'd be like apple pie a la mode, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
you're kind of like apple pie a la mode. You can kind of riff a little bit. Maybe you want cinnamon ice cream or something. There's a lot that you can do there.
Show's canceled. I'm going home to make apple pie ice cream sandwiches.
Done.
Oh, and don't forget to enter the contest. Don't forget to enter the contest tonight, guys. It's a hashtag Station Station EXP, right?
Station EXP.
Yeah.
For a very cool Kenny's or sketch card. Purgatory, Chaos Comics, very cool. Signed on the back. You know what? We'll throw up one more book before we go to break. Captain America White #1, Ultra Limited Silver Signature Series, signed by Jeff Loeb. This is, I think, 6 of only 15. I think this is going to be our 5-star book for $50.
That's a good deal.
I absolutely love this book. And I think at $50, it's sort of a great way to get it into someone's hands who would love this book.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book because it's the culmination of Tim Sale, R.I.P., and Jeff Loeb, who have done these color-themed Marvel series, Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, Hulk Gray, and then Captain America White. So this is a great way to get Jeff Loeb's signature because he ain't doing cons. Great way to pick up this issue and also have a piece of Tim Sale artwork because unfortunately we're not going to get anything else from him because it was a tragic.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hate to say it. I didn't want to be too morbid, but it's the truth. He only signed 15 of these in silver. This is number 6 of 15, I think. Is that what this said? Yeah, this is number 6 of 15. This is one of these kind of nice things that you want in your collection. You know what I mean? You're kind of flipping through. This is the kind of thing you see and you're like, there are times when you're going through your collection, you're like, why did I buy this? And you can't remember. This is a book that when you put this on, when you come across this in your collection, you know exactly why you bought this book.
Yeah. Plus, if you're on Instagram and it's 4th of July and you're like, oh man, I got to find a good Captain America book to show off, this is the perfect book to show off.
I was told the Homelander meme I posted this year was not in the spirit of the 4th of July. Perhaps I misunderstood Homelander.
Too close to home, maybe.
I know. Stevie B, I do not control the brakes. That's Kyle in the center seat that controls that. I can tell you the break will probably not be 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
I think it's time for a break. Yeah, we're at the top of the hour.
Break, actually. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back in a few minutes. Robbie will be with us, of course. Thank you. Kyle will be here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back in less than 10 minutes.
Collectables is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for 2 very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectables on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at The Experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox. Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except We take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
We are back, such as the show is. It's that Rex and the Luchador mask. You know what? I don't know if Rex would. I guess maybe we could do masks at some point. I did wear that terrible Batman mask once on the show. We could probably do something for Halloween this year. We'll have to take a look at it.
We have that commercial for Nerd Killer Warfare where it's luchadors wrestling. And one of them does look remarkably like it could be Rex.
Well, hey, you know what? How people make money on the side is not my business, man.
That's right.
It's all good in the experience anyway.
We don't kink shame around here.
We do not, man. Hey, you know what? There's got to be some content. I guess Rex is. I'm sorry, Kyle is on the commercial about membership in the experience. There's going to be a membership tier. My guess is that tier starts with Rex and a luchador mask.
That thing should be launching in the next, say, 10 days.
Oh, seriously? I didn't realize it was that close. Very cool.
Yeah, just ironing some of the final details in terms of new content that will be exclusive for members.
Nice.
Hopefully, including Rex searching for food in the Dynamite offices.
Nice.
You know what? I've actually talked about at some point bringing not so much a food truck, because a food truck to a certain extent is limiting, right? Shows up, everybody gets tacos and leaves. I've talked about bringing some of my pro kitchen equipment I have in storage, setting it up in one of the Dynamite offices and seeing if I can do some kind of kitchen where, stuff gets griddled outside and finished inside. Have to work it out. Right now, they've got a ton of construction outside. They're like redoing the hardscaping and landscaping. Probably not the best time. Plus, it's like 90 degrees. Maybe this fall we'll have Nick do the show, be Dollar Day or something. Yeah. We have a couple really cool books I want to get to. One of them is Dark Knight's Metal #2. This thing is a very cool variant gold signature series from Jim Lee. It's a little bit on the pricey side. I'm not going to lie. These things are sort of out there, $300, $350. This one is #2 of 20 that Jim signed in gold. And this one is going to be half price. This one is going to be $150. If I'm reading this right. Yes. You only signed 20 of these, of this version for us.
When DC announced this series, I was at Retailer Summit, And, you know, DC, the rumor the whole time was DC was going to have a killer panel, right, for the retailers. They had a huge announcement. And we walk in and we sit down, and there's like 6 chairs on the dais. And out walks Dan DiDio. And he goes, I could sit here and talk to you, and I could just read solicitation, which was a direct jab at Marvel's presentation earlier in the day. He goes, but you'd rather hear from these guys. And out walked Jim Lee, John Romita Jr., Greg Capullo, and Andy Kubert. And they announced this book. And they gave everybody an ash can. And years later, when I was trying to pay a bill, I sold my ash can, and I regret it. But I sold that ash can for more than you're paying for this book for 3 pages that had gotten wrecked in my luggage on the way home from convention.
Huh.
Wow. So this is a steal.
Well, and Jim Lee is a rare appearance at a con. And so when he does make an appearance, you got to think travel. You got to think paying for the ticket probably to actually meet Jim Lee. The signature from him at the con might be $100, right? And then the time you're going to have to wait in line because you're going to have to get there super early. They're going to cap that line. It is going to be a pain in the neck to go get something signed by Jim Lee. This is a good way to just knock it off and get it done.
Yeah, this is one of these things where you want this in your collection, right? Most people have a little checklist of what they want. Creators they want signatures for, creators they want books for, keys, slabs, whatever. This is a very reasonable price for you to check a Jim Lee signature off, especially a golden signature. I actually double checked real quick because I wanted to make sure before I put this thing out there that $150 was the price. But, you know, Nick loves you guys. He feels bad, I guess, that you're Rexless tonight. So,
you know, it's crazy if you really think about it, John, because Jim Lee is one of the most successful creators and people in the comic book industry, period. Like, look at where Jim Lee started and where he wound up, right? It is absolutely astonishing to me, Jim Lee's career. He is one of the biggest names in the industry, but I think he's one of our industry's biggest successes.
Yeah, if you actually see interviews with him, he's surprised at the success of his career. He talks about that sometimes where, you know what I mean? He still kind of sees himself as, you know, a comic book guy, an artist, whatever. He doesn't see himself in this role of, you know, CEO, publisher, art director, like, you know, whatever titles he's had over the years. He's never really seen himself that way. I mean, he started inside the big two. He was part of the Image thing. He jumped back inside the big two to the point where he's sort of, you know, one of 2-3 shot callers at DC creatively.
Yeah, I know, and he created that whole Wildstorm universe with other people, but he wound up selling that because he didn't want to run a big operation like Wildstorm. Now he's running DC. Like,
no, he's running DC. I don't. Kurt Busiek, I saw him at a show several years ago, and he talked about Jim Lee, and he talked about when you talk to Jim Lee on the phone, you almost like don't feel like you're talking to him because he's so casual and so sort of not at all even remotely full of himself or whatever. He's always interested in your project. You know what I mean? I guess maybe this is when Astro City sort of jumped over to Wildstorm / DC, whatever. And, you know, he's so interested in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, he's the one that took the chance on Astro City, right? They greenlit it. It was over at Homage Comics, right? And
I remember when I'm old, so I remember the day Astro City #1 came out. You had an Alex Ross cover, so everybody looked at it. Not a whole lot of people knew who Kurt Busiek was then.
Correct.
And the story, if you actually read, I love Astro City. It's one of my all-time favorite things. But if you read the first issue, you're not really sure where you're going here.
Well, the first issue is that Day in the Life one, right? Of Samaritan, right? And I remember when it came out too. So I was a little bit younger, but I do remember it coming out. That book hit, and it hit hard. Astro City did. That, and Jim Lee was the one that said yes to that. So he's greenlit lots of cool stuff. And never forget, he's responsible for the highest selling American comic book of the modern era. X-Men #1 at like 8
X-Men
million
number
copies.
one. Yeah, I was going to say it's,
nobody's touched that since. Nobody's touched it since. It's wild.
There, you can almost sort of trying to think it. Not that he would do this, but when you reach the
Marvels
level
had come out, Marcus. I'm sorry, but Marcus said that Marvels had already come out. That's true, but it was Alex Ross that was what hit most people from that. Like, I don't think Kurt Busiek was. We weren't there yet. Astro City.
At the time, people were just like, "This is a bunch of Alex Ross paintings, and this is the guy that came up with some text to put them together." I mean, I remember being in the store, Marvels came out, and people were like, "I don't care who wrote the book. Look at this," and they were just looking,
That book blew us all away, John, didn't it? Like the way it put those things in perspective, like the whole Galactus bit, like to see that from a normal man's perspective, and they did such a great job with that. And then the whole bit with the mutants and the riot and juxtapositioning that with the wedding of Reed and Sue, like Marvels is, oh my goodness, so beautiful.
People should, and people, if you haven't read Marvels, go read Marvels somewhere. Maybe one of my favorite panels in that book is sort of low key, but it's Gwen Stacy, and it's during Namor's invasion of New York, and she's like, "Oh, it's raining," in that very sort of 60s girl Gwen Stacy way. It's raining, and she looks up, and of course it's Atlantean warships, right? And it's not raining. It's just they've come out of the ocean and stuff like that. And that panel, just the way it was written, the way it was drawn, the way it was composed, that was so powerful. I think, unfortunately, the art was so powerful, people didn't realize until later the writing matched it.
But it was happening, though, because I remember Kurt Busiek was a name I was starting to follow, and it was around Astro City. It's like that's when you find, oh, it's covers by Alex Ross, but it's the guy who wrote Marvels with him, right? And you get into it, and then he goes over to Avengers with George Perez. But before that, I used to always be like, y'all, Kurt Busiek's someone that I really like because he did Untold Tales of Spider-Man. And in all of that Clone Saga 90s stuff going on, there was this book, Untold Tales of Spider-Man, that was just classic, fun, cool Spider-Man stories. And that was Kurt Busiek.
He did like a Vulture story in that thing. And I remember thinking, by the 90s, the Vulture was pretty, low gear.
Well, you remember they tried to make him, they made him young and gave him that new edgy costume. I remember thinking that was cool, but I was 12, so you got to forgive me for that.
Yeah, but I mean, for people that knew the Vulture's an old, cranky old guy in a flying suit, when that issue came out, you're like, really, man? You're taking a swing at the Vulture? And he, just like everything else, he totally nailed it. I remember it was like a great story. And it was almost a little bit of a parable of growing old. When do you get the point? I remember that, because Spider-Man's always eternally a teenager, even though I realize now he's 30-something, he's had a company, he's a professor, this and that. A lot of those stories that Kurt Busiek did, Spider-Man's like a teenager or young person. And, there he is trying to come into adulthood, and then you've got the Vulture in that story that, dude, you're pretty old, man. Maybe you ought to hang up the wings and take a seat and, start having lunch at 3,
That's a fantastic. That's a fantastic run, and it's available in an omnibus now. I don't know if it's still in print, but there's also there's a trade paperback collection labeled Volume 1, so I think there should be a second. But there was also like an annual or a special of Untold Tales of Spider-Man that Mike Allred did the artwork for, and it was really cool too. Yeah,
that is cool. Let me throw up another book that I just thought was really neat. And again, the price is, I'm kind of glad that we had the opportunity to throw some of these books out at reduced prices. We talk about this a lot. Right now, inflation, this, that, or whatever, you're always looking for a deal. This one I think is a real deal too. Detective Comics 1027. It's cover D. It's the Art Germ cover. Silver Signature Series. This one is signed by J.R. Jr. He's another one of those creators that I absolutely want his signature in my collection. I've seen this thing anywhere from like $150 to $190, depending on where I've been. Tonight, this is going to be our perfect 10 read at $100.
Nice. Great cover by Art Germ. I love the way that the red on Batwoman pops. And you're right, John Romita Jr., class act. I met the dude at the hotel just briefly, but I got to go meet him at Heroes Con. You know, I waited in his line, and such a cool dude. Got a picture with him. He talked about, I brought him a Thor, and I was talking about him and Klaus Janson and how they work together, and he was talking about, he gave me so much information. He was like, yeah, Dan Jurgens was the writer of this one. He's like, he basically just told us where to start and then where to wind up. And me and Klaus got to do whatever we wanted. And he was like really lively, still filled with energy and excited about comic books. And I'm a big fan of his work.
He really is. I mean, that guy has literally been around this since he was a child. He told stories about being in the bullpen and sitting under desks and drawing and sketching and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I think it was Comic-Con. I think it was 2015 or 2016 in San Diego. We were staying at the same hotel he was. The Hilton Bayfront had just opened. And I don't know if there's a problem with the room or like his reservation, or I guess he wanted a different room or a bigger room or whatever. And they were like, can you just please step off to the side? And I'm thinking to myself, you know, even though it's like 9 o'clock at night, you're going to ask Jared Jr. to stand here on the side in a lobby filled with retailers and fans or whatever. He sat there for an hour signing whatever you put in front of him, people like running up to their room and coming down with, you know, Daredevil, Punisher, whatever. And he spent almost an hour because I guess the room he wanted wasn't quite ready. They had to switch around, move something, maybe another bed. I don't know. I mean, I was trying not to like creep up on the guy because I could see he was like, I've been traveling all day, man. I really want to go to my room. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. He signed everything. He was super nice. He talked about that he was going to be on Comic Book Men in their upcoming season. You know what I mean? He's just one of those guys that he's doing this forever. He still finds joy in it, and he doesn't let it. We've all had those instances of catching a creator at a bad time. And, you know, they're tired, they're exhausted, they're not feeling well. Maybe they're not in a great place personally, and somebody rolls up on them, sign my shirt, my book, my backpack, whatever, and maybe we haven't gotten the response that we wanted. JR Jr., I've seen that guy multiple times at multiple cons over the years. There's never anything more than a smile on his face, warmly greeting people to his table. You know, if there may be nicer guys in the industry, but I don't know any.
When we launched the experience, we literally had no, you know, views or anything yet. John was one of the people we reached out to about coming on our opening weekend, and he was just like, yeah, sure, no problem. And Spencer Beck helped us out, and, you know, but John came on twice, once to do a solo interview, and once so that I could ask him and Scott Hanna to tell me everything about Spider-Man, which, you know, is one of those things, like, it was everything I do during that interview not to cry, because favorite artist, and at the time, and what I realize now is my favorite inker, working on my favorite Spider-Man. Like, J. Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man was so important for my, you know, comic book fandom. So that was really cool, and I put it in the comments. This is the first piece of original comic art I ever bought, is a page from this book. It hangs next to my desk. It's framed with a copy of the book. And I just love John Romita Jr. forever for just showing up the very first day we were doing this and just being cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And the dude's got like 8 earrings. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that. He's got like so many earrings. Like, it's so wild, man. He's still cool and edgy and hip, man.
We exchanged emails after that, and when we don't email each other regular, don't get me wrong, it's not like I can call the guy or whatever, but when we do exchange emails, we never talk about comics. He's a huge fan of blues music, and so am I. So whenever one of us finds a new band, we send it to the other one.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. Next time I ever see him, I'll be like, "Hey, man, what good blues albums you've been listening to?" That's what.
Yeah, that'll get him talking.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we love that guy. I mean, no, seriously. I mean, there's not sometimes.
John's gonna come out of tonight with a newfound respect for Rex. I guarantee it.
The transition is the hardest part, right?
Well, Rex is a straight man. He's, you know, he's the Bud Abbott.
Yeah, it's like this is like getting Costello to run the show, right?
it's easy to be the kind of funny, fat, barely paying attention, drop in a joke line or whatever. It's tough to pay attention to everything that's going on here and here. You know what I mean? It's a little. I'm surprised Rex. Now I know why Rex doesn't drink. I'm like, oh, I'll bring some beers. He's like, no, that's okay. And now I know why he does that. But in all seriousness, though, JR Jr. is one of those guys. Like I said, there might be nicer people in him than the industry. I haven't met any. I really haven't. You know, every time I've seen the guy, super nice and friendly. He reminds me of Francisco Francovilla that way.
Oh yeah,
I've run into that guy a bunch of times at cons. He's probably like, "Oh God, dude, not again, please."
He's one of my favorite artists, man. I love him. I met him in 2019. Yeah,
into it. No matter what you mention, he remembers it with crystal clarity. You know, oh, remember the 2-panel spread you did from Black Beetle #3? But instantly, he remembers everything. He remembers what the inspiration was. He remembers that there's a painting in his house of like a nighttime street in Madrid that he got the inspiration from, and you're like, wow, just sign this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a trip to meet, man. He's really fun. I bought an Argento print from him at HeroesCon in 2019. And so we were talking about Argento and Italian horror films for a while. And he was like, yeah, I did that for a film festival they were doing where they were showing Deep Red. And he was, yeah, you're right. Like he starts talking about, oh, I have this in my house. I have this from the movie. I have this. And it's cool, man. He's a super cool cat. He had to cancel his appearance this year. I was really bummed out, but he's always cool to meet. He's one of my favorite artists of the modern day.
Steven said this is Comic-Con week. It's worth it just mention again. I've had a bunch of really great memories with friends at cons, whatever, even Dynamite panels I went to over the years. Probably that moment where you feel like the positive disturbance in the force is I'm at Jim Steranko's table, and he's signing a Doc Savage print for me. And I hear the voice behind me say, oh, your Doc Savage is awesome. And it's Francisco Francovilla. And the two of them start talking, and I'm just standing there saying nothing because what am I possibly going to add to this conversation, right?
Yeah.
I have like something for you to sign and you to sign. But to kind of hear the like enthusiasm these guys had still for, you know, I mean, Steranko, I think at that point was probably close to 80. And to still, you know, the passion the guy had for somebody else's work.
He was at HeroesCon. Like I saw him just a couple weeks ago. This dude is still filled with youthful vigor. Every time I saw him, like outside of the con, when I saw him at the con, he's sitting up there at the table. You know, he doesn't sit on the chair. He sits on the table. He's got his music playing, and he spends so much time talking to everybody. He was super cool. But every time I saw him, like outside of the con, like at the bar or at the hotel, he always had like a woman on his arm.
He really does, man. He leads the Austin Powers life, man. Every time I see that guy, he's like in a turtleneck and a sport jacket.
Yep.
You know, he's got
those glasses, man. It's like, where's the cigarette holder, mate? Come on, man. This is awesome. This is royalty.
Like, Dave Avalone mentioned, like, this guy lives the life of every 60s book I've done.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
He is Nick Fury.
Big ring, gold watch. I'm like, you're almost like, I said, you're almost cosplaying yourself at this point. Because if you look at pictures of him from the 60s and 70s, he'll be like, oh, yeah, so I sat down and I said to Andy, and he means Andy Warhol, and he's got like these amazing stories. And I'm looking at the picture of him on my phone, and I'm like, dude, you've barely aged a day. That's wild.
Yeah, that guy's a treasure.
Before we go to our next break, can I request a book that just will fill Robbie and I with endless nostalgia?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I got my Madball. I got what's his name? It's the Mummy one. It's his name is Dustbrain, I think. I still have a him, the Madballs, and we got the Ash Cannon at the shop for this. I've been able to look through it. Holy cow. If you love independent, alternative, underground kind of comics, this book is for you. This book is awesome. This book is really cool. Y'all got to check it out this week.
Yeah.
And I liked Garbage Pail Kids, but Madballs, that was my jam. Like, I remember that ad from all those 80s comics, and I was obsessed with Madballs. I want to get the whole collection again. I actually need to.
So there's a group of pro wrestlers that all work for AEW now, except for one of them who is an indie guy still. that are known on YouTube for toy hunting vlogs and going. And one of my favorite things is to watch their vlog and play Count My Friends Stores. Right.
Okay.
Because, you know, they've been to so many people I know from my time in the industry stores that it's super fun. But one of them is obsessed with collecting Mad Balls, all the different series, all the different things. So when I see this, not only did I think of them, but I thought about, I remember vividly my mother refusing to buy me Mad Balls or Cabbage Patch Kids because, quote, they were too gross.
See, I'm so glad I had a mother who loved buying me gross things.
Right?
Like, for real. I mean, that's why I'm such a horror fan, right? Because I was watching that stuff early, you know? I was brought up on it. But this book, y'all, I'm telling you, the interior, this cover is amazing. And tonight we got it for $40. It's a $50 Virgin incentive cover, but tonight it can be yours for only $40. But the interior artwork is great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
When we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about what's coming out New Comic Book Day. This is one of the things that's coming out on New Comic Book Day Wednesday. We'll get to the other stuff. But this thing is really sort of pulling at the heartstrings of people. Thankfully, I found these ash cans, and my Rex is like, "Are you shopping in the office?" "Why, yes, Rex." "Kyle, yes, I am." And actually, these would probably be sitting in Rex's desk. But sorry, man. Hope you're enjoying your vacation.
Nice. Teach him to go on vacation.
You know what? I got to tell you right now, that guy works. I joke with my buddy Rex a lot. That guy works really hard, man. He does the work of a normal person, and then he kind of handles everything here for the show. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you guys see what it's like. When you have to carry me through 2 hours of a streaming show, it's not easy. When we first started doing that, I mean, I remember we were sitting out in the lobby before we had this office set up, and on the other side of our glass door was like a tornado. And we're just like, "Oh, yeah, we'll be back right after this." Meanwhile, we're looking out and we're watching trees blow over and car alarms go off. The phones are going off. "Get out of the way, get out of the way." And I'm like, we'll be all right.
Crazy.
When we come back, I guess we'll do our last break. And when we come back, we'll do the last couple books. We'll talk about New Comic Book Day. We've got the contest. Maybe we'll try to work in Kyle's barbecue tip of the week or something. And
Kyle's prepping for a contest, so.
Gotcha. So we will be back in, a few minutes, I guess. Thanks for hanging in here, everybody.
Are you a comic creator? Are you a publisher? Do you make a comic book product? Do you own a retail store? Do you do something I haven't thought of? Who are you and what do you do? Let us know by advertising on the experience and invite our viewers to patronize your product. Message the EXP on social media or email us the_EXP@yahoo.com for more details. There's a super new way to support your friends over at the experience. Head over to YouTube and send us a super chat, a super sticker, or a super thanks. We'll be super grateful for your support. And then keep an eye out as we launch membership services over on YouTube. It'll be a great way to get first look access at new content and shows before anybody else. Keep your eyes peeled and make sure you're following us on YouTube.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
one last time. Thanks everybody for hanging in there, joining us. 2 hours is a long show, especially when Rex isn't here to keep everything on track. Guy certainly earned his vacation. Hopefully on Wednesday we'll be a little more, see, the problem is that we'll have Alec and,
See, I think we've had a great show. John. I'm having fun with you and Kyle and just talking. And by the way, I did go grab it. There's my Mad Ball that I got.
Nice.
I think it's Dust Brain is his name. I'm not sure, but he's the mummy.
To answer Stevie B's question real quick, make sure you're logged in to YouTube on your phone. If you're not logged in, you can't comment. But if not, what I would do is make sure you're using the YouTube app and not the web browser feature, because the web browser feature is terrible.
So we have a couple more books that are out for New Comic Book Day. We have, each of these is going to be $40. They're usually $50. We always have the nice little kind of $10 saving on the show. First one we have is, and this is a book that I'm really happy took off, Nix, number 8, Fernando Danino cover. Oh, that is Nix, okay. I absolutely love this cover, the sort of 70s Marvel Comics group throwback energy here. Very, very cool. I like this a lot. Nix is a character that not a lot of people knew a lot about outside of Vampirella. This character in 8 issues has really sort of found their own sort of level and really sort of started to connect with fans. And I'm glad to see that. When you go to some of the comic groups on social media, people are really digging this. And that's, when I heard Nix was originally going to get her own book, I was super happy. But my tastes tend to be real specific, right? So I didn't know if it would appeal to a wider comic audience. I'm happy that it does. I'm happy the book is doing really well.
I'm having a lot of fun with Nix. I didn't know anything about this character. The only Vampirella really that I've read in the past has been the Warren stuff. In the very beginning of that, she's just like the hostess, right? She's like a horror host, right?
Yeah.
But Nix is a fantastic character. This is a good book because it doesn't take itself too seriously. So it's got a charm and a humor to it that really helps carry the momentum.
From the Warren era, there was really some cool characters that Dynamite has brought out to the forefront now. Nix is one of them for sure. Draculina and Panther. The Warren, Archie Goodwin, that whole era, they really sort of, they created, it wasn't just Vampirella. There was like a big cast of characters in there. You grab a fistful of some of those old Warren stories or whatever, people, from what I'm told, they're always surprised that there's that much depth of storytelling from what they expected. Most of them expected it was, Vampirella running around fighting evil and, 10% of a costume. And then they're sort of seeing it, or, they think it's very dated because of the Warren era. But they read the stories here and they're like, wow, there's a lot going on here. I'm like, yeah. I think that is why the character lasted so long. Because let's be honest, there is a ton of stuff out there from the 60s to maybe the early 80s, Heavy Metal magazine, that just didn't last. It just didn't, you know what I mean? It had its run, and then it sort of, went away.
Yeah.
Well, segue to that is one of the things I absolutely enjoyed from that era, near the end of that era in the 80s, was Fire and Ice. It was a Frazetta thing. It was just announced today.
Yeah, Dynamite had a big announcement today, right?
Yeah. Dynamite is going to be doing that. I have not seen that, full disclosure, in years. So I click, went over to Amazon Video, and I bought a digital copy of it, and I'll watch it later tonight. I remember that thing being, really, really cool. Preston, the number of times I've pestered the publisher for the Rook, my understanding is I think the Rook is either owned by someone else or I would like to tell you it's going to be forthcoming. I'm going to say probably not. But, the good news is the publisher is right next door, so I'll continue to pester him as I get a chance.
Nice.
We have Lyric's Lee cover for Samurai Sonia. This is another book I'm really, really, really enjoying. Beautiful artwork. This is another $40, Virgin variant. The idea of Sonia as a different kind of woman warrior, super appealing to me. I've talked to a bunch of people about the different ways I'd like to see Red Sonia portrayed in the future. I don't think anybody is really going to have a problem with Samurai.
Yeah, for sure. I have a lot of fun with this series. I really enjoyed the first issue. Excited to check out the second one this week.
Everything that's being spun off right now, sort of, I don't want to say a golden arrow, but right now everything that's being spun off from Sonyaversal and Vampyverse seems to be really well respected. We had the Vamp one shot. There's some other stuff kind of coming from those universes. And I think people really sort of, they saw both Vampirella, they got a chance to see Vampirella and Red Sonja in different, through different eyes, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I talked to some of the creators on social media, and even in some cases, they didn't think of, Cyber Sonya, Tech Sonya, you know what I mean?
Well, if the concept and the character are strong enough, it can go across genre, and it can bend and blend genre, and that's something that you guys have been doing with Red Sonja lately, and Vampirella.
This is another character that you can go to Dynamite's YouTube page and see Fred Van Lenke talk about this. The expanding of the Jennifer Blood universe. That's the other cover we have tonight. Comes out tomorrow. Jennifer Blood number 10. This is a Jonathan Lau Virgin cover. This thing's sweet. This thing is really, really sweet. There's also a very, very cool cosplay cover by Rachel Holland that, Rachel always does a great job with these cosplay covers, but she sort of really digs that Jennifer Blood energy. I'll tell you, this is a book where you might want to double dip on the covers because
her covers for Jennifer Blood have been astounding. They've been really good. Yeah, if you like cosplay covers, you definitely need to check out her Jennifer Blood covers.
I thought everybody is into cosplay covers. I realize it's probably too close to photo covers for some people. Back in the day, photo covers were not really looked upon that well unless it was Gold Key. Gold Key sort of got a pass. Everybody else sort of got, really? Photo cover? No, not having it. But
like in the 90s, throughout the 90s, for instance, when they would do like the Buffy comics and stuff, I remember that everybody was like, oh, the photo covers. Because all it would be like the production shots that they would do like before a new season.
The show, and you'd be like, look, man, give me something else. The cosplayers that we have doing this stuff now, Rachel, Gracie the cosplay lass,
Anna
Mia. These are people that are just not cosplayers or models or whatever. I talk to these people a lot. And their level of Dynamite knowledge is where mine is. And I'm not embarrassed to admit, I kind of know a lot about Dynamite Comics. And when I meet people who are at that level, I'm always really glad. I'll have these conversations at 3 a.m. about the most obscure things Dynamite's done 8-9 years ago. Where's the $6 million man going from here? And I think that shows in the authenticity of their cosplay. We've got a cosplay cover for Samurai Sonia that's really good. There's Jennifer Blood, and I'm trying to think of the other one. There was another one like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago where even if you don't know much about Barbarella, if you see the Barbarella cosplay cover, you're like, all right, I'm in. You know what I mean? The copying of the Jane Fonda look is almost perfect. And I think that, that sort of adds a little bit, adds like another element to it.
Yeah.
See, now 62 Lefty Blues is also talking about the Rook. If Nick comes in here, we're going to question him about the Rook. The Rook was a great book, man. Warren Comics was more than just Vampirella. I mean, I love Vampirella, you know, he's from it, but that whole Warren age. And a lot of people came to Warren comics after they were done. You would find them in magazine bins. They weren't quite comics. They weren't quite magazines. Some of the stuff Warren did.
That's how they got through the comic code. It was because they were a different format. Yeah.
And if you see some of that stuff is some of the most powerful black and white art and storytelling combos that I've seen at all. And I've been reading comics now. I think if I did the math right, this is my 50th year of reading comic books. I started real young as like a little kid.
Nice.
Sitting on the train with my dad, and he'd be like, "Here, read this. Be quiet.
Yeah.
Don't bother me."
I started reading at 5 years old, man.
Yeah.
So I've been reading for 36 years at this point. Yeah. We're old men, John, both of us, as far as comic books go.
Well, I love the commercial where Rex and I are basically portrayed as mountains of age.
Yes, with the AR commercial, right?
My favorite commercial that Kyle does a great job with. He asks a series of questions, and my answer for everything is nope. And for some reason, I giggle myself silly. Rex wonders what I'm laughing at, because Kyle's commercial is like, "Hey, do you write comics? Do you draw comics? Do you sell comics? Do you do anything with comics?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah.
I love that ad, man. It's just
the last question is the important one, because it's the one where I clearly get frustrated and go, "What do you do?
What are you in the room for?" I had to pick up my books.
I guess we're nearing almost 10 minutes left on best offers. Do you want to do a Rex cap before we get to these last few books?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what? I'll recap the best offer stuff, because I really want to make sure everybody sort of, has their time with those. First best offer book we did was Uncanny X-Men 521. Signed by Greg Land, number 37 to 55. I'm pretty sure this is the only one of these we have. The best offer started at $19.63. And yeah, we talked about this. Somebody mentioned it in the comments before. Magneto equals money. You put him on the cover of a book, especially an X-Men book, sales are going up. Next best offer book we did was Bob's Burgers, number 1, the New York Comic Con Virgin variant, signed by show creator Lauren Bouchard. This is pretty, this is like a $70, $80 comic this week at the con. We started this best offer book at $20. And from what I understand, Lauren Bouchard doesn't sign a whole lot of stuff. He's not like a con fixture. He doesn't do signings per se. So this is kind of like a neat, rare one to get. I think he only did like 100 of these. This is, I think, 95 of 100.
Nice.
The next best offer book we did, and I got to tell you, even if you don't get this best offer book, go find a copy of this and read it somewhere. Strange Adventures number 1, signed by Tom King. We started the best offer for this at $10, Silver Signature Series, and this is number 6 of 70. It's a nice low number for the people that are sort of into the numbering, the serialization of these things. This is number 6 of 70. Starting this at $10 is,
Yeah, and Stevie B's in at 10, and we got Creative Keep going for 30 on the Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
Or the Robert's Hamburgers, which always makes me think of the Steve Martin Pink Panther movie where they're trying to teach him how to say hamburger.
Hamburger.
I would like a hamburger. I like it. I don't really like that movie, but I love that scene.
Yeah, I'm right there with you there. Stevie B has a great point about how often do you see Magneto in a yoga pose?
I mean, he's got to stay young somehow. It ain't just the power of magnetism.
Well, it's really funny. I remember being at a con years ago and somebody explaining the reason Magneto looks so good at like 110 years old is because there's this theory that the electromagnetic aura of your body controls aging. So he manipulates it to age real slow. And I'm like, sure, man, okay. I'm at a con. I've driven hundreds of miles for this thing. It's 4:00 in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
there's the whole bit where Moira de-aged him for a while and then re-aged him up or something. So there's that. And what's crazy though is if you watch the movies, apparently something happens really drastically in his life in the 90s, because in like 1993 he looks like Michael Fassbender, and then in like 2000 he looks like Ian McKellen.
I'm going going to assume there was maybe some superhero battle that went wrong. Remember how the Emperor went from looking like, like the Chancellor to, he got the feedback, and then all of a sudden
Mace Windu came after him, is what you're saying.
I'm going to assume that, he ran up to against somebody with a purple lightsaber and it didn't go his way.
It was a battle with Nick Fury. There you go.
Let's see.
I think you just won a no prize, John. An MCU no prize.
I might have. After all these years, they probably should have sent me one. Secret Wars is the next thing we're going to do. This is a CCA. Nice Ken Hazer cover. We've talked about this. Secret Wars is probably, I'd say it's a safe bet to be the next big Marvel gimmick for, what they have going on. They've hinted at some other things. Secret Wars would incorporate a lot of those little Easter egg type things you see in post-credit scenes, etc. Ken is, we've talked about this before. It doesn't matter the publisher. It doesn't matter the style. We've seen the guy do Disney. We've seen the guy do Archie. He just is. And I especially say, if you're a black and white fan, this is really cool. This is essentially like a black marker on a white cover. I don't, you know what I mean? That's as basic as it gets.
I just want to see the rest of the picture and wonder exactly why Reed has to stretch down and then his head back around up.
How does it work it out, man? Are you in like a gravity-less environment or something?
Or is that an arm? Like he's doing some kind of weird thing? I don't know, but it would be interesting to see.
Got 5 minutes left. Let's jump on the last best offer book. Punchline number 1. It's a slab, CGC 9.8. We've gone through all the reasons why you probably want to get slabs from us rather than, getting them in the wild or just sending your books in and hoping for the best. This is a great way to pick up a guaranteed 9.8 slab of a book of a character that's probably got big things on the horizon. Dwayne's Pain is 35 on Bob's Big Burgers, and we started this one at $40.19, kind of riffing on the 1940 Joker premiere. This is a book where, we're happy to have the books out here. If you buy them, that's great. If not, it's not my comic book company. I don't care. But this is a book where I would absolutely suggest, if you're one of those people that are looking to buy low, sell high, or, build inherent value in a collection, you're dropping one price and you're getting another. This is a great way to pick this up because I'll tell you right now, this character is going to show up. We've talked about it before on different episodes of the show.
Maybe me showing up in that Harley Quinn series that we're hearing, right? That's what Kyle said. And Creative Keep is 40 on Bob's Burger.
And I'll tell you right now, the price will not go down. Reed's doing an Annie Ann's pretzel land. Stevie B, that would be funny, man. After the Fantastic Four, Reed had to take some questionable work to make ends meet.
This is a Wetzel's Pretzels show.
Oh!
I always consider myself a rolled gold kind of guy, but...
Yeah, but you can't buy those in an airport, Robbie, to get back to our earlier travel shtick.
Yeah, I'm not at airports a lot, but whatever the pretzel company, whatever the pretzel at the mall, that's usually pretty good, right? Whatever that one is. I don't know.
It's either Auntie Anne's or Wetzel's.
It's okay. It's one of them then.
They're kind of like the CVS and Walgreens. They appear everywhere. I think the current price on this Punchline is $40.19.
Yeah, we got somebody, Preston, I think, came in on that one. So, okay, 45. There we go.
Came in at $40.19. So, okay. So,
I got a question. So, if you guys go to a place to get pretzels, and they usually have like the cheese one, and they got one with like just regular with mustard, and they got the cinnamon one or whatever. What's your go-to? Because I always like the one with just mustard. And then we have a brewery here called Straight to Ale. They do great beer, but they have a really good pretzel, and they make with their IPA Monkey Knot. They make this beer mustard that's delicious. So it's fantastic.
There's a brewery down in Asheville, North Carolina called the Thirsty Monk, and they do the same thing. They've got great food. They've got really good craft beer. You can always find craft beer somewhere, but they have a mustard that they serve with their pretzels that are baked in-house. And I got to tell you right now, they could just bring me the mustard and a spoon, and I'd be like, okay, we're good to go.
Yeah. And this is one of those mustards that has like the I don't know. Are they mustard seeds or whatever?
Yeah.
The little it's so good. We got some movement here. We got 50 on Punchline and 50 on Bob's Burgers from Dwayne's of Pain and Preston.
I was going to answer the pretzel question, but people are bidding, and I can't type and talk at the same time.
But people are bidding. Creative Keep is at 60 on Bob's Burgers. That is we talked about it before. That's not Lauren Bouchard isn't someone that does a ton of signings, right? You know, it's not like, oh well, if I don't get this, I'll just catch him at the next show. It's my understanding that this guy does not have like a regular con schedule, or you know what I mean. He's more of, I guess, like a TV guy, animation guy. So you're probably not going to catch him at your local con or whatever. We're up to what? We're up to 60 on Bob's Burgers and 60 on Punchline. Yeah, cinnamon pretzels are kind of like a weird go for me. For me, especially being in and around Philadelphia, soft pretzels are a thing. They've been a thing here forever. And it's sort of, you know.
Real quick. I got a question.
This is really important topic we're talking about, though, Nick. Like, are you really going to interrupt pretzel talk?
Yeah, Nick, what do you like mustard with your pretzels?
I love mustard with my Actually, I love pretzels with my mustard. Ask Amy how many packages of mustard I put on a pretzel. All right, real quick. While you guys are counting down, just let me know. Ones, you want Rex back. Twos, if you just want John and Robbie moving forward.
Yeah,
a lot more pretzel talk.
Let's go back to the pretzels. Okay, actually, I'll show you something. You guys keep going.
So I'm a pretzel extra salt with cheese.
Okay. Cheese is a fine topping for a pretzel. But I'm a big. I'm like Nick. I'm a big mustard. I think his answer to the question is not 1 or 2, but 5.
We're at 90 on Bob's Burgers. We're starting to see a little bit of
a war.
A little bit. Well, it's very cool. I mean, I don't know if you noticed it, but that creator doesn't do a ton of signings. So
this is how much I put on 2 South Philly pretzels. And that's
South Philly pretzels are as big as your head. Like, it's a different thing there. Like,
Ron, I agree with you. I want Amy back too. I agree with you 100%. If I get a vote, somebody log me in and give me 3. I'll put 3.
I put about 14. I do it in bites. I use about 14 packets of mustard for each pretzel.
Nice. So, I'm a big mustard guy myself. Mustard on everything.
Oh, and we had a question, and I know normally you would think nobody asked this question. You just
about the Rook.
About the Rook.
I don't know. I don't think we own the Rook.
That's what I was going to say.
I think it's the one Vampirella character we may not own.
I remember like it was owned by someone else or something.
Let's see if anybody gets to 100. Are we at the countdown?
We're pretty close. We're
30 seconds.
30 seconds, and there's a 15-second lag. So by the time somebody hears 30 seconds, it'll really be 10 seconds.
10 seconds. So make those last bids now that you know. 13, 12, 10, 97.
Hey, Creative Keep at 97. That's so funny.
Mustard may be cheaper by the gallon, but those packets are free, Stevie B.
Bids are low.
Oh, this is under the wire. I think Kyle's going to have to make the decision. Kyle?
It looks like Creative Keep was in with 101.
That is
101. Is that right?
Wait, let's be sure.
The actual timer went off as I saw Creative Keep's 101.
Okay. All right. So Creative Keep made it under the wire. Wow.
That was one of the most exciting bid wars we've had here in the last
long time.
I mean, listen, let me tell you, Lauren is a sweet, sweet guy and ultra talented. So congrats on getting a piece of history. We got these signed, if I remember, at San Diego Comic-Con. So this is so funny.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like.
Oh wow, there's only 100 of these. I forgot about that. Well, there were 100. We don't have 100 anymore.
We had a couple books tonight where.
So basically, it was a tie. It was 1 and 3. It was bring Rex back and bring Amy back.
John, I think you did a great job. You were under a lot of pressure, but now I think you have a newfound respect for Rex and Amy and Nick. So I think going forward, the show will be better.
I always have respect for Amy. Let's be.
He'll never have respect for me. Hey guys,
last chance to get in on the giveaway. Hashtag station EXP.
And hit that thumbs up if you haven't.
Last chance. Give you about 30 seconds.
Everyone knows I have a tremendous amount of respect for Nick. When I win the Powerball, we'll keep him on as like publisher emeritus. He'll be like the new Stan Lee. He'll show up as like, Mickey the Roach will show up in all of the books that I'll be doing, including The Rook. Thank you for whoever brought that up originally.
And you can get your private jet, so.
So really, you're going to publish Dynamite Comics with a Powerball win from my plane? That's where I'm going to publish that from.
All right. Let's do this.
All right, y'all. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
No whammy. This is a very cool sketch card.
Hey.
Ronald Shepard.
Another piece of Ken Hazer for his collection.
Another piece of Ken Hazer art. Congratulations, Ron. Really, really neat, man. Wow, that's very cool. I'm glad you snagged that. Congratulations to everybody who sort of, won tonight. Thanks for everybody hanging in there, even though we were only at like 50% power here. Thank you to both Kyle and Robbie for dragging me lifeless over the finish line of this episode.
You did great tonight, John. You did great.
Thank you, sir. Check out Robbie's show. There's a lot of actual good, enjoyable content there for you to check out.
Yeah, we got movie night tonight. We're doing The French Connection at 9 p.m. Eastern. So
Nice. And what do we have next, Kyle?
Miss Jen back with Mishmash.
Oh, wow. I better get out of here because that's a show people actually want to watch. We'll be back on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day, everybody. Congratulations to the best offer winners. Thanks to the people who bought the other books. We will see you Wednesday night. We are out.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.